No budget for props? No problem. I'm going to show you how you can use one basket in 2 different ways and them look completely different. And don't forget to stay till the end to see the final images. So for both setups, we're going to weight the basket first. This proves as a counterweight, so when you put in baby inside the basket, it doesn't matter which pose we're doing, it balances out the weight so the basket doesn't go over. All you need to think about is if the basket like this one has holes in the sides, just making sure that your stuffers and your whatever you're using to stuff the basket with covers that so you don't see the weights. So I'm going to stuff this using a curly fur. I'm going to go in with no stuffers underneath, literally just the curly fur. It is quite a dense fur, so it's going to cover those weights in the bottom, and it's enough padding in there. And then we've got the rest of the curly fur covering the edge of the basket. Now we're going to go in like this first of all, because we don't know how big baby is going to be. We're going to test it out, we're going to pop it in, and then if we need to stuff, if she's a little bit more on the smaller side, we're going to go in then with stuffers and just pop those inside underneath the curly fur, just so we've got a little bit more there, and she's not lost inside the basket. And then when baby is in there, what we tend to do is use some smaller stuffers just to kind of pad out the sides so she feels nice and secure and she's not going anywhere. So for the second pose, baby is going to be on her front, hanging over the front of the basket. So this is going to be stuffed slightly differently. I am going to start with the curly fur again. I'm going to find the edge that I want on the front. Okay, so I like the way that this dangles over the side. So this is the side of the curly fur that's going to be on show. And then whatever we've got left at the back then, I'm going to roll down, and we're going to use this to help baby feel secure by just tucking underneath her bum. Now, in this position, you are going to be able to see a little bit of the weights and the underside of the curly fur. So I'm going to use this cheesecloth, which is one that we're going to be wrapping baby in for one of the poses. So it's all nice and tonal. And all I'm going to do is make sure that we're covering those weights at the bottom. And then when that curly fur is over, you've still got that nice bit of texture in there. Now, again, we've got all of these stuffers ready to go. We're going to pop that little bit of something on there just so the baby feels secure on the edge of the basket. And then when we get it in there, I don't want any padding here because this is quite a dense fur, so I'm not going to put anything here, but I may need to put a few stuffers down the back, underneath bum, depending on baby's size, just to make sure, again, she feels nice and secure, so when she is in that basket, she doesn't feel like she's going to fall anywhere. So because we're styling these looks in 2 different ways, I've started by dressing baby in a romper, and then I'm going to wrap over the top. Just makes workflow a little bit easier. And I'm using 2 different wraps over the top. So first we've got a stretch wrap. There's quite a bit of fabric in this one so we can get that nice round egg shape. And then we've got a nice bit of cheesecloth then to go over the top for a bit of texture. The good thing about this is because it's all kind of a flowing workflow, we've got same tonal colours. So if we see a little bit of romper underneath the wrap, it's not the end of the world because it is all kind of the same colours. Okay, so the wrap I'm going to do is just an egg wrap. Some of you call it a potato sack wrap. I'm not going to go through this one in depth. We've got plenty of videos with this one solely just showing you how to do this one, so you can go back and check those ones out. The one thing I will say is this bottom wrap needs to be nice and tight, getting those legs tucked up nice and high. And the reason for this is baby just feels that much more snug and secure. It gives them the impression they're back in the womb, and they just settle a little bit quicker. The bottom one doesn't need to be perfect because we are going to be going over back over the top with the cheesecloth. But if you can avoid kind of lumps and bumps underneath, it just makes everything a little bit easier afterwards, a little bit less editing to do. And what I am being mindful of is just keeping baby's hands as close to face as possible, just so we've got those to be able to pose once we've finished. Okay, so now we've got that one nice and tight, I'm going to go in with a cheesecloth. We're going to do the exact same motion, same as the normal egg wrap. So shoulder down to knee, around the back and back up over the other shoulder. One thing I will say with the cheesecloth is, because they have holes in them, just be mindful of where baby's fingers are, because they can go through the holes, and then when you pull them, you don't want to be moving baby's fingers where they don't need to be. Okay, I'm going to leave the excess out on this wrap in case we want to do it when, in case we want to style it once baby is in the basket, only because these are quite nice, they kind of trail off really nicely. And we can see a little bit more of baby's romper than I would like, so I'm just going to undo that button and tuck it down a little bit, just so that's not the main focus when she's posed. So now we've finished this pose, I'm going to get it out of the basket and we're going to unwrap, but because she's a little bit awake, we're going to give it a little top up, just to see if we can get it to go off to sleep, because the next one she does need to be completely flat out before we pose. Which pose was your favourite? Let us know in the comments, and I'll see you next time, guys. Bye.